Time for some Tuesday NBA. We've got two games on the slate today. We have game 2 of Miami and the Knicks, and we have game 1 of the Lakers and the Warriors in the Western Conference semifinals. Erik joins me, Gino Bucola, Erik from ETOP21 Sports. We're here on Fast Break Bets presented by DRF Sportsbook. We encourage any of you in the state of Iowa to head on over right now and sign up for an account. Use our deposit promo code FAST1000. It'll get you all the way up to $1,000 deposit match. Anywhere in Iowa, use that promo code FAST1000. Sign up right now as we look at the lines over at DRF Sportsbook. And we're going to talk a little bit about Thrive Fantasy, a DFS site that lets you play with props. You can wager on props, you can parlay props, and you can play in states where you're not allowed to wager legally. So that's what's really great about Thrive Fantasy. Gives you options in California, in Texas, some other places where you want to get a little action and you maybe don't have that chance to do so. Erik, let's reflect a little bit on yesterday before we dive into today. So what we saw yesterday, you just pointed out that the line in the Boston Philly game had gotten too big. And in talking with you about the Celtics over the last, week or so, it sounds like you and I are kind of on the same page. I was a little disappointed with them in the first round. They really played with their food a little bit. They had opportunities to close out Atlanta earlier there. They didn't really take a few of those games seriously. And that what ends up happening, you start developing bad habits. You're a coach. You know that. You want to try to teach everyone to stay out of bad habits. Don't let yourself get trapped, because what happens, then they start to carry over. And those bad habits carried over. And in a game against Philly with no Joel Embiid, where Boston should have easily handled that 76ers team, well, they didn't. They did not come out serious. Their defense was atrocious. They let Harden have a career high in the playoffs, and now all of a sudden Philly steals a game without Embiid, and now Philly gets to play Boston in a game 2. I'd be shocked if Embiid plays. Why play him? You give him another few days to rest, and Philly just gets like a free roll in game 2.
Yeah, it's well, first of all, the main thing that was going through my mind watching that game is what could have been with Harden. We haven't seen that for years.
That version of him.
If he could have got a little bit more serious about his body, did a little bit better, taken care of himself. Jesus. That was an all-time performance from what we saw to him with the shot making, being able to finish, getting to the rim and everything. Kind of amazing what a night in Las Vegas will do for Harden, because he was in Vegas the night before.
A little freshen you up a little, right?
The Celtics, the Bucks effed around, cost them a series. Now we see the Celtics come out, mindset of a player, they don't have Joel Embiid. I know it's the playoffs. I know everyone says get pumped up, but there is a little bit of a lull when the other team doesn't have its best player. But it's on the coaching staff and the leadership to keep everyone in line. And that's what we really didn't see from them. I thought Jaylen Brown did a good job in the first half, being really aggressive. Second half, I really didn't see that much. And everyone's ready to anoint Jason Tatum as the next superstar in the league. But there's times when you just kind of sit back and wonder, what are you doing?
I know.
And then there was that last play with Brogdon. And it was kind of funny. My buddy, literally 2 minutes before that pass, where he passed it right to Maxey, says, Brogdon's pretty smooth with the ball. He's not that careless. And I was like, dude, you don't remember the Milwaukee days. And then sure enough,
right afterwards
happened. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens. A little bit upset. Tobias Harris was like 4 layups, cost me that 26.5.
We both, because I had the 16.5, but he finished with 18. One more bucket would have gotten us both over, because I would have gotten him to 20 also for the plus 200. So
missed a couple. What can you do?
Unlucky
it's
there.
It's be interesting to see. Doc, for I'm not a Doc guy, but as a dog in game 1, he covered. So you got to give credit where credit is due.
We take things one at a time, and I'll give you a ton of credit, because two guys that you have been very critical of through the years with me, but been critical of because they deserved that criticism, You were not critical of them right now, both Harden and Doc. Those aren't two guys that would be on your favorite group of players.
No, but you got to give credit where credit is due.
Oh, when they show
They
up,
handled the job.
like
They
that
went down.
huge game for Harden to come when they were not expecting him to show up with that type of performance. And you know what? If they win this series, that's going to be why. That game one that they stole. Like,
And they do a pick and roll with Reed, who has done basically nothing.
all year,
And then
nothing.
he goes and he makes those free throws. You got to give props where props is due to the 76ers. I mean, that was an all-time like gutsy win. And Boston got caught with their pants down, and it showed. Interesting to see how they're going to regroup, rebound for the next game, and what Brown, what Tatum, what guys are we going to see? And yeah, that's is what it is. Last game,
nothing surprised us there, right? Because we don't ever want or root for anybody to get hurt or to get injured. It's not about that. But what we saw in the Phoenix game was their depth is going to be getting questioned every game they play from here on out now. When you have Chris Paul, who had to leave that game and we don't know what his status is going to be, and when you have to count on Kevin Durant and Booker and Paul and Ayton to play 40 to 43 minutes, this is what's going to happen. Like they can't every game against the Clippers, even the games they closed them out, those guys were playing huge minutes. Compare that to, for the Lakers example, what was nice about their last game, they blew out the Grizzlies. So LeBron and Anthony Davis didn't play the whole fourth quarter. Those guys played 28 minutes. You get a little bit more rest, and Phoenix hasn't had any luxury like that at all.
And the one thing that Durant and Booker are able to do when those guys are on the court is, as crazy as it sounds, they can take offensive possessions off and stand in the corner. And those two are such good shooters. You have to respect them. You can't double off of them.
Yep.
So even though they're playing those minutes, they can take a rest because it's a pick and roll with Paul and Nate, and pick and roll with, Paul and Craig, Paul and whoever. But now with not having Paul there, the only real two guys that they have in the half court set that can do anything are Booker and Durant. So now there's even more pressure put on those guys.
Again, I don't like always coming right more. Like, I don't like always coming right back to the Lakers, but think about the Lakers, for example, and are they the best team? Are they going to win? No, but compare what they have as options. They can have LeBron run offense. They can have D'Angelo run offense. They can have Austin Reeves run offense. They can have Dennis Schroeder run offense. And then they can actually run stuff through Anthony Davis. They can actually have him initiate stuff if need be. Even a guy like Rui can get himself his own shot. And then compare that to a team like Phoenix, who now, if Chris Paul is not on the court, they are going to have so much pressure on Booker and Durant to make everything happen for them. It's going to be a little bit easier to defend two guys that are not easy to defend.
Yeah, it's going to be tough. It is really going to be tough. But so here's the thing. The line's already down to 4. I know I'm going to be betting the Suns all 3. I'm going to bet the trifecta. I'm going to bet them first quarter, first half, and game. Because if they don't win this game, it's over. It is over.
Yeah.
Durant's been in these wars. He knows this, and this is going to be the best effort that we get from Durant, Booker, and everybody else. So if you think Paul's going to be out, I'd probably lock it in right now, because I feel this line is locked in. Like, there's no Chris Paul.
Yep.
If Paul plays, it's probably going to get up to 5.5. So if you think Paul's going to be a no-go, I'd lock it in now. Maybe it just down to a 3.5. But I'm going to be on the Suns all 3 ways whenever. I'm not sure when they play off the top of my head, but I'm going to be looking to do that. But I'm telling you, that 20-1 ticket I got in the Nuggets is looking better and better and better and better and better each day. It's moving forward. Joker, hand bandage, maybe a little bit worried about that. He can't do a little banged up. Murray is always going to be kind of hit or miss, but they have so many 3-and-D defenders with Braun, Bruce Brown, Porter. They got
Jeff Green.
They just have so many dudes, that the guys that you need in the NBA. And then they have Joker, who they can throw it to down low, and they can create. They have Murray, who can make free throws at the end of the game.
KCP is like
Porter,
such a perfect fit for them because he just knows his role. He like just does it exactly what you need from him. He never tries to do too much. He doesn't really take bad shots anymore either. That was a thing he did early in his career because in Detroit, he was sort of asked sometimes to be a guy that he wasn't, right?
Yeah.
Like he's just as high level of a role player as you'll find. You don't really want him handling the ball and making decisions, but you want him out there playing great defense, running around, hustling, and shooting threes or open jump shots. And they are playing like right now. If I had to pick one team right now, based on just who do you think is right now last team standing, I would say Denver.
Oh, I mean, just by far.
Like they're going to have home court.
Hands down.
They're going to have home court. Yeah.
The thing with Denver is this: when we get to those series and there's a quick turnaround, there's that altitude.
Yep.
And we need to remember that when this gets to a game, a day or two, and you have to go play in the altitude, that's going to be really tough for these guys that aren't used to playing those games in the altitude.
Okay, Erik, let's dive into today's games for Tuesday. We have two of them, and the first one is Miami at the Knicks. And what makes this difficult, we are recording this a little bit earlier in the day. The line is at Knicks -6, over under 208. And I will say, I am going to stay completely away from this game because of all the moving pieces. I understand why you're doing what you're doing, but as of the time we're recording, Brunson and Randall both were banged up. So I would expect that them at home in game 2 going to try to play and do everything they can too, but just not exactly sure the health of them. And then Butler, like we saw at the end of the game, he couldn't move at all. He was basically a decoy out there. That was what was really disappointing to me, Erik, is that I don't know, as you know, I think Shams tweeted out Butler wants to play, and they're saying the sprain isn't that bad. Watching that game, I can't believe that Tibbs didn't go at Butler late in the game. They didn't go at him at all when he was hobbling around. They could have just gone at him and forced him to play defense. Maybe Butler is so tough that he stands in the way, he moves his feet, but you got to at least make him show you he can do that, right?
Yeah, you have to attack him, and I think that's what they're going to do here. I know Randall and Brunson are banged up. I think Brunson's going to go. Brunson's a tough dude. Yeah. I think he'll battle through it. Randall, 50-50. Butler, I think that if Butler plays, they're going to look to attack him a lot more. They're going to look to go at him a lot more, put him in the defensive positions to make him a liability. But let's play devil's advocate. He doesn't play. Who's the half-court shot maker? Kyle Lowry? Gabe Vincent? Martin? You know what I mean? They really just don't have many dudes that can get their own shot. Let's say Brunson doesn't play. You know, you still have RJ Barrett. You still have
Quickly.
Josh Hart. You still have Quickly. Grimes played a little bit. You still have him. You still have dudes that can create. The Heat just don't have anyone to create because Hero and Oladipo are both out as well. So I think this is – I had to play the Knicks right across the board. I think they're going to come out. We saw Electric the Garden and West the Owl come out. If Butler plays, I think they're going to look to attack him right off the go. I think they're going to look to put him in bad positions. Knicks, one of the best first-half teams at home this season, covering the spread. So I really like them to have that lead going into halftime, which you and I were both on last game. And the Knicks are 4-0 their last 4 games following a straight-up loss. And the Heat were 30th in scoring, 20th in field goal percentage. This has to start regressing back to the norm where they just can't hit anything. And I know people are going to say, well, look, Bam averaged 25.4 points per game when there was no Butler. But when you look, that dropped. He never went over his 18.5 point player prop against the Knicks because of Mitchell Robinson and the number 55, whose game I'm spacing on. It's just a bad matchup for him defensively. So I don't know. I don't think the Heat are going to be able to score enough points offensively. If you don't have faith in the Knicks, look, maybe you play the Heat under in the 13 total. But I'm on the Knicks. I got a -2 for the first quarter, 3.5 for the first half, and 5.5 for the game. So
All
I like my
three.
position. All three for the Knicks. Going to try to hit the try, and we've seen it before. Every single playoff game this series, game 2, after the home team loses, they've covered all three of these numbers. So I'm banking on that trend to continue.
That's game 1 of the 2-game slate on Tuesday. Game 2 heads to Golden State, where your defending champions are a 5-point favorite against the Lakers. And we have Golden State coming off of a game 7 win on Sunday. Steph Curry was unbelievable. Just think about the last week or so, Eric, with Jimmy Butler, with Steph Curry, with James Harden. Those performances have been monster games and different, but we saw LeBron with that big game-winning shot or game-tying shot to push for overtime. We saw AD with huge defensive performances that were equally as impactful. Devin Booker had some monster games. So the stars have shown up, and there have been some big games. Ja had a huge game also, but Curry, after getting blown out in game 6, he really he got frustrated, and there was a story I read that scared the hell out of me as a fan of the Lakers, but said that Curry, who's not normally vocal, was very vocal after that loss, and it sort of woke the team up, and he showed up with a big performance. All that being said, I'm a gambler, Eric, and there was one thing I had to play, and I had to go under the number. It's up to 31.5. That's 32. That is such a high number for a guy who just scored 50 2 days ago, had to get up, put everything into that game. And for as incredible as Curry is, he's in phenomenal, the best shape of any player in the league based on the way he has to play. You can't always do that like he did in game 7.
No.
You just can't have that level where he's running off screens all the time. He's running through. He's not just standing in the corner. He's nonstop. Like, he could have 28 points and they could win this game, and he's way under here still. Like, it's a massive number.
And the thing you have to remember is the Lakers' half-court defense is significantly better.
Way better.
In the half-court. Like, what are they going to do? They're going to run pick and roll and put AD on them? You know what I mean? It's not like you're running pick and roll to put Sabonis on them.
Yep.
So it is a pretty good matchup for the Lakers defending Curry. So I absolutely love that play.
I was looking for props, but I couldn't find any. Was Schroeder, because I think Schroeder is going to have to play more in this series because nobody can defend Curry, right? Anyone that says like, well, who are the Lakers going to have defend Curry? Well, who does anybody have that defends Curry, right? He just scored 50 points the other night. When he's hitting threes from 5 feet behind the 3-point line, there's nothing you can do. But Schroeder can chase him around, and he's fast, and he can actually make Curry work even harder than someone like D'Angelo might. This might be a little bit more of a Schroeder series than a D'Angelo series. So I was looking for some Schroeder props because I think he may play more minutes in this series, and just by that process of elimination, he's out on the court more. He has to get a bucket more. The way that Golden State plays, Schroeder is just like D'Angelo in that he's fine taking that like free throw line jumper if they play drop coverage and they drop back a little bit and they kind of focus on Anthony Davis. Schroeder will take away all that like mid-range right there. He's very good operating there. So I couldn't find any shooter props, but Curry under, and I'm going first half, Eric, with the +2.5. I almost always play against a team first half after they played in a game 7. It's like one of those trends that I almost myself always go to, like when you're talking about the unders in game 7s and in the play-ins in the first half, right? Like for me, it's the team that had to get up and play this in huge game where there's a lot of pressure on Golden State. They got their asses kicked at home in game 6 and had to go on the road to close things out and had to get up for that, so it wasn't easy for them in that series. I don't know if the Lakers win the game. I think at the very least, the Lakers will have a more rested, energetic team in the first half, and Golden State might be just a little flat. It's sort of hard to get right back up for the start of a new series after you had game 7 like that. And Erik, you think it's a good spot for the Lakers too?
Yeah, just kind of looking at it overall, teams game 1 after playing a game 7, 40% against the number. When they are playing a game, a home game 1, that drops all the way down to 30%. So, just historically speaking, since 2003, it's a good spot to fade these teams coming off a game 7, emotional letdown, and the Lakers are pretty well rested. This is a quick turnaround for the Warriors. I will say this series to me is a very interesting series. You just kind of look at it. Draymond, historically, when you look at his career, he's matched up pretty well against AD. In my eyes, they're gonna need a good series from AD to win.
Oh, they need a monster series because Draymond and Looney offer totally different types of problems for AD, right? Because Draymond's smaller, he elbows him, he kind of prods at him, he's tougher, right? He's tougher overall, Draymond is. And Looney is just a brick. Like Looney, you know what he's gonna get. He's gonna get jump up. If you don't put a body on him, he's gonna grab the rebound. Like you can't just leave a body, you cannot just leave him there. So it's gonna be interesting because I'm kind of curious to see how they're going to match up. Like, do they throw Vanderbilt on Draymond? Like, to like try to blow up some of the handoffs and some of the stuff that Draymond does. And then maybe you have LeBron can kind of, you can put AD on Looney and you can have LeBron to help on more on Wiggins. I don't know. Do you have Vanderbilt on Wiggins and you have LeBron able to sort of sag off Draymond a little bit more? I'm kind of curious to see what they're going to do.
Yeah, it's a big series. And I think the big thing is who's going to play the D'Lo minutes. D'Lo is a liability on defense. When they get him in that switching action, the Warriors are going to be able to, to take advantage of his limitations defensively. Yeah. I did want to look at some D'Lo unders, but I wanted to wait a game to see if how I think it's going to play out is actually going to play out. The Warriors do struggle to rebound in the regular season. Looney was great in that one series, but when you look at the whole course of the 82 games, they really did struggle to do it. That brings me to Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt went over this number 2 out of the 3. With D'Lo, I feel not playing as much. Vanderbilt being one of their best wing defenders, being a sneaky good rebounder. He's got, like I said, gone over this total 2 out of the 3 games. I think we're going to see more Vanderbilt minutes. I think he's going to go over the 10.5 points in rebounds. So I locked that in. And I am going to say this. If the Lakers win this game, I think one thing we need to keep advantage is how does the math equation work out for the Lakers? They gave up I think the 4th most threes after they made the trades. They were still only 24th, so that's the 7th most threes allowed. So they do give up a lot of threes. Warriors like to shoot a lot of threes. Warriors foul a lot. Lakers are really good at drawing fouls. That comes out to the Lakers scoring more ones, the Warriors scoring more threes. What is Ham going to do? What is going to be the chess piece that he does to kind of negate that move? You know what I mean? Like, how is he going to negate what the Warriors want to do without changing the identity of the half-court defense? The half-court defense has been elite.
There might be more this might be more of a more Troy Brown series, right? Yeah. A guy who's a wing who can shoot threes but can play defense a little bit too, who didn't have as much of a role in his last game. We might have to see some more Beasley in this series, right? If he defensively he may hurt, but you may need to get him in there early and try to get him in a little bit of a rhythm, because it'd be nice to get a 3 or 2 from him every game to at least match up with a little bit of that firepower that they have.
It's going to be interesting to see what
this will be a real chess match. This series, because these two teams are fascinating. They have a lot of different things that they could throw at you. On the Golden State side, Kuminga and Peyton give them some options that they can have in this series. So you like the Lakers in this spot. I like the Lakers in the first half. I'm going to roll under with Curry. Erik, let's quickly take a look at Thrive Fantasy for tonight. What were you looking at to play for Thrive Fantasy tonight?
Well, I'm obviously going to take the Vanderbilt over the 10.5 points in the rebounds. Like I said, gone over 2 of the last 3. Warriors, look, I know Looney's been playing great, but as the season, they really have struggled to rebound. I think Vanderbilt's going to see an uptick in his minutes just because of the liability that D'Lo is defensively. And look, I know he's hurt, but I'm going Brunson over 30.5 points and assists. I expect him to attack, especially if Butler goes. He is due for some positive shot regression. He went over, excuse me, this total, and he was 0-7 from 3 last game. He went over this 2 out of 3 games they played against the Heat this year, and he went over it last game. So I like Brunson over the 30.5.
Brunson over the 30.5. We're looking at the Thrive Fantasy website right here. And keep in mind, when you go to thrivefantasy.com, use the promo code GINO. You'll get a deposit match bonus from 25 up to 250. It's a 4-time rollover, and you can actually play prop parlays. So I put together a parlay, and what's great about these, here are the payouts. They're better than if you were to play these parlays anywhere else. A two parlay pays you 3.2 times your entry. 3 parlay is 5.2. 4 is 10.2, and 5 is 20.2. You're getting better value with this site than you are if you were playing these different places. So we give you a promo code boost, and you get better value here. You can also play in California, like me, in Texas, in places where you can't wager legally yet on sports. I put together one for tonight. What I was able to find was, mentioned the Curry points, so I went under 31.5. Went Josh Hart over the points, rebounds, assists. I think he'll have a big bounce back game here. And then I found the one that they did have was Schroeder steals. Just what I was talking about. Schroeder's going to be chasing around Curry a lot. And for as good as this Warriors team is and as awesome as they can be, they're very kind of careless with the ball. They turn the ball over a lot. Like, they'll throw it away, but then they'll come back and hit 3 threes in a row and make up for it. So a steal or two for Schroeder would not be all that surprising. I'm expecting Schroeder to have a big series. He's kind of been it's like kind of like an unsung hero for the Lakers this year. He was big in a lot of games, and a lot of guys were hurt and missing, and I'd love to see him have some big moments. So, Erik, finish up another NBA Tuesday. We'll talk about it. It might just be you tomorrow. We'll see what the schedule we're going to work out is. But remember, folks, if you're hanging out with us here every single day, there's an NBA game. We will be here with you to preview the game on Fast Break Bets. Make sure to head to DRF Sportsbook. If you're in Iowa, make your wagers. Use the promo code FAST1000. Use the promo code GINO when you get to thrivefantasy.com. And good luck in all of your plays tonight. Erik, buddy, have a good one. Talk to you again tomorrow, and we'll see all of you again Monday through Friday, 5 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time, Saturday, Sunday, noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific.